Imagine this. You wake up tomorrow, everything looks normal, your phone works, your coffee's hot, the news is on, but something's off. Everyone around you believes something you know is false. They see it on their screens. They hear it from the experts. They repeat it with absolute certainty. And when you try to show them the truth, they look at you like you're the crazy one. Now let me ask you something. Isn't that already happening? Think about the last few years. People calling lies truth and truth misinformation. Algorithms deciding what you see, think, and believe. Entire populations convinced of things that aren't real. A world where no one agrees on what's actually true anymore. It feels like we're living in a collective delusion. And here's the terrifying part. The Prophet Muhammad warned us about this 1,400 years ago. He described a time when deception would be so powerful, so widespread, that even strong believers would struggle to hold on to the truth. He called it the Fitna of the Dajjal, the greatest trial humanity will ever face. But here's the question no one's asking. What if Dajjal doesn't arrive suddenly, but gradually, system by system? What if the world is already being conditioned to accept him? What if the infrastructure of deception is being built right now, in plain sight, and we're too distracted to notice? Today, we're going to explore something uncomfortable. Not conspiracy theories, not fear-mongering, but Islamic eschatology, the study of the end times, examined through the lens of what's happening right now. We're going to look at what the Prophet actually said about Dajjal, what systems are being built today, and what you need to do to protect your faith, because if we're not prepared spiritually, we'll be swept away just like everyone else. Let's begin. And when you see them, their forms please you, and if they speak, you listen to their speech. They are as if they were pieces of wood propped up. Surah Al-Munafiqun 63:4. This verse describes hypocrites, but it reveals something deeper. Deception often comes in attractive packaging. Charismatic leaders, polished speeches, appealing appearances, but hollow inside. And in the age of Dajjal, that deception will be perfected. Do people think they will be left alone because they say, "We believe," and they will not be tested? Surah Al-Ankabut 29:2. Allah is telling us faith will be tested, and the greatest test will be when truth looks like falsehood and falsehood looks like truth. And if you obey most of those upon the earth, they will mislead you from the way of Allah. Surah Al-An'am 6-116. In the time of Dajjal, the majority will follow him, not because they're evil, but because deception will be normalized. Think about that in today's context. If everyone's doing it, it must be right. If the algorithm shows it, it must be true. If the experts say it, who am I to question? That's exactly how mass deception works. Indeed, it is we who sent down the reminder, and indeed, we will be its guardian. Surah Al-Hijr 15-9. Here's the hope. No matter how powerful the deception, the Quran will remain. Allah will preserve it. Allah will preserve those who hold on to it, and that's our anchor. Have you seen the one who takes as his God his own desire? Surah Al-Jathiyah 45:23. In the past, people worshipped idols of stone. Today, people worship money, fame, pleasure, technology. And when Dajjal comes, he'll promise to fulfill all of it. Hudhaifa R.A. said, "The Prophet stood among us and told us everything that would happen until the day of judgment. He left nothing out. Some of us remembered and some forgot." Sahih Muslim 2891. The Prophet knew what was coming, and he warned us repeatedly about Dajjal. Why? Because this will be the ultimate test of faith. The Prophet said, "There is no tribulation on earth since the creation of Adam until the hour greater than the tribulation of the Dajjal." Sahih Muslim 2946. And then he described him. He will say, "I am your Lord." But Allah is not one-eyed. Dajjal is blind in his right eye, which looks like a floating grape. Sahih Bukhari 71:31. He will claim to be God, and billions will believe him. The Prophet said, Dajjal will come with something like paradise and hell, but his hell is paradise and his paradise is hell. Sahih Muslim 29:37. He will invert reality. What looks good will be bad. What looks bad will be good. And people will follow what looks good, even though it leads to destruction. Now pause. Does that sound familiar? Social media promises connection, delivers loneliness. Capitalism promises freedom, delivers slavery to debt. Technology promises convenience, delivers surveillance. Junk food looks delicious, destroys your health. Instant gratification feels good, robs you of purpose. We're already living in a world where paradise and hell are flipped. The Prophet said, Dajjal will command the sky and it will rain. He will command the earth and it will grow crops. Sahih Muslim 29:37. In other words, he will control resources. Now think about today. A few corporations control the global food supply. Governments can freeze your bank account. Social credit systems determine access to services. Digital currencies can be programmed and controlled. The infrastructure for total control already exists. The Prophet said, between his eyes will be written, kafir, disbeliever, which every believer, literate or illiterate, will be able to read. Sahih Muslim 29:33. Not with physical eyes, but with spiritual insight. The believers will see through the deception. Why? Because they know Allah, they know truth. And no matter how advanced the lies become, they will recognize falsehood when they see it. Here's what many scholars miss. Dajjal himself hasn't appeared yet, but the systems that will enable him, they're being built right now. Think about it. Global digital identity systems, central bank digital currencies, CBDCs, AI surveillance, mass media propaganda, cancel culture for dissenters, social credit scores. These aren't conspiracy theories. These are documented policies being rolled out worldwide. And when Dajjal finally appears, he won't need to build a new system. He'll just take control of the one we already surrendered to. Abdullah ibn Umar, R.A., said, the Prophet warned us about Dajjal so much that we thought he was hiding in the palm grove. Sahih Muslim 29:37. They were vigilant, not paranoid, not fearful, but aware. Imam Mahdi, Asad, will appear before Dajjal. Isa will descend and kill Dajjal. But scholars have always warned the Dajjal system will come first. Imam Ibn Kathir wrote about widespread deception in the end times. Imam al-Ghazali warned about love of dunya blinding people to truth. Scholars of every generation saw pieces of the puzzle, and now we're seeing the full picture. Let's talk about what's happening right now. Imagine deepfake videos that make anyone say anything, AI-generated news that sounds 100% real, personalized propaganda fed directly to your brain based on your psychology. You won't be able to trust your eyes. You won't be able to trust your ears. The Prophet said, there will be years of deception in which the truthful will be disbelieved and the liar will be believed. Musnad Ahmad 79:12. We're there, right now. Facebook decides what news you see. YouTube decides what videos you watch. TikTok decides what ideas enter your mind. Google decides what truth looks like. You think you're freely browsing, but you're being programmed. And when Dajjal comes, he'll use the same systems we've already surrendered our minds to. Anyone who questions the narrative gets deplatformed, loses their job, gets labeled extremist, becomes socially isolated. Sound familiar? The Prophet said, holding on to your religion will be like holding on to hot coals. Jami at-Tirmidhi 2060. Because speaking truth will cost you everything. In Dajjal's world, there is no truth, only power. Whatever the system says is true becomes true. And if you disagree, you're the problem. We're already seeing this. Men can be women, war is peace, censorship is safety, submission is freedom. Orwell tried to warn us, The Prophet warned us 1,400 years earlier. Some scholars interpret the hadith about Dajjal's followers having a mark as a system where you cannot buy or sell without compliance. Now think, digital IDs tied to vaccine passports, social credit scores, CBDCs that can be programmed to expire or restrict purchases. You will own nothing and be happy. The system is being normalized, and one day someone will take control of it, and that someone might be Dajjal. So what do? 1. Memorize the first and last 10 verses of Surah Al-Kahf. The Prophet said, whoever memorizes the first 10 verses of Surah Al-Kahf will be protected from the Dajjal. Sahih Muslim 809. Why Surah Al-Kahf? Because it's about resisting falsehood, people of the cave, rejecting materialism, the two gardens, humility before knowledge, Musa and Khidr, power without accountability, Dhul Qarnayn. It's the spiritual vaccine against Dajjal. 2. Disconnect from the system. You can't fully escape it, but you can reduce your dependence, limit screen time, curate your information sources, question everything, build real-world community, grow your own food if possible. Learn self-sufficiency. The more independent you are, the less control the system has over you. 3. Strengthen your iman. The Prophet said, whoever says La ilaha illallah sincerely from his heart will enter paradise. Sahih Bukhari 128. Know Allah, know Tawheed, know your purpose. Because when Dajjal claims to be God, you'll immediately recognize the lie. 4. Protect your children. Teach them critical thinking, Quran and Hadith, the signs of the end times, how to recognize deception. Don't let the algorithm raise them. 5. Do not be afraid. The Prophet said, if Dajjal appears while I am among you, I will deal with him. But if he appears after I am gone, then Allah will be the protector of every Muslim. Sahih Muslim 2937. Allah is still in control. Dajjal will appear. He will deceive billions, but he will not win. Isa, A.S., will kill him. The believers will survive, and truth will prevail. So, is the Dajjal system already here? Yes and no. Dajjal himself hasn't appeared, but the infrastructure for his rule, it's being built right now. The surveillance, the control, the deception, the normalization of lies, it's all in place. And one day, maybe in our lifetime, maybe after, someone will take the throne, and the world will bow. But here's what they won't tell you on the news. The believers won't. Not because we're smarter, not because we're stronger, but because we know who Allah is. And when someone claims to be God, we'll see through the lie. O Allah, we seek refuge in you from the tribulation of the Dajjal. Protect our hearts from deception. Protect our minds from falsehood. Protect our families from being swept away. Grant us certainty in you. Grant us courage to stand for truth. Grant us the wisdom to see clearly when the world is blind. And if the Dajjal appears in our lifetime, make us among those who recognize him, reject him, and remain firm upon your path. Ameen. This week, memorize the first 10 verses of Surah Al-Kahf. Not just read, memorize. Because the Prophet promised it will protect you. Wa anqata no.